All right, everybody, it is 10:05 to start respecting everybody's time. We're going to go ahead and get started and let everybody else come in as they can. I am happy and excited about today. We are going to be able to hear from the director, Mariana Ortega from La Casa. So as you know, with our professional development series, we are interested in learning more about different groups and organizations on campus. And so we are really excited that Mariana agreed to present to us today. So if you're not familiar with the services they already offer, we're going to be learning some more about that today, as well as, what we can do to help support them in the students, since we serve some of those same students as well. So I'm going to read a quick bio from her, and then we will go ahead and give her time. Mariana Ortega was raised in Boaca, Nicaragua until the age of 4. She uses pronouns she, her, hers, ella. She spent the majority of her formative years growing up in South Florida, where her immediate family resides. Currently a PDH student in the College of Education with a focus on human resources and development. Her bachelor's and master's degree are from the University of West Florida. She has a passion for serving the Latinx community on and off campus and is the current director for La Casa Cultural Latina at the University of Illinois. Previously, she worked at New Mexico State University in La Cruces, New Mexico, where she developed an inaugural orientation, transition, and retention program serving the needs of the students while centering the families in developing a Spanish program. In her free time, Mariana loves giving back to the local community in her involvement with Girls Go For It as vice president and also serves as a Champaign County ambassador. In addition, she is a volunteer with the local community radio station, WEPA 90.1, launching their first Spanish community segment in Comunidad. In her personal time, when she is not giving back to the local community, she likes to work out, hang out with friends, explore local venues, and creating new content for her podcast, The Complicated DM LLC, as a co-founder, and spends time with her pit mix dog, Harley Jenkins Ortega. All right. Hey now. I love all the accomplishments you have and what you've been doing. So we are so grateful that you're going to be presenting to us today so that we can learn more about La Casa. Thank you, Mariana.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Courtney. And thanks for y'all's time. I know it's Friday afternoon. You're probably thinking about weekend plans, but my hope is that you learn maybe at least one thing about La Casa, if anything, and that we just make a connection and that you feel comfortable after this presentation connecting students with us and my team. So I will jump in. Please let me know if y'all cannot see the next slide, because that gives me an idea if it's advancing. Is it advancing?
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So a little bit about La Casa. Formerly, y'all may have known we were under the Office of Inclusion and Intercultural Relations, which now we're all collaboratively together with OMSA, with Student Success, Inclusion, and Belonging. I like to point out that a lot of what I'm going to talk about today also can relate with some of the other cultural and resource centers on the slide. Historically, it's 8 of us that have been under an umbrella since 2007 when OIR was founded. A lot of the centers also share some family programming as well and serve similar in support and all exist from student activism. So I want to also make sure that y'all know that we work closely with our colleagues, and this is the collective 8 of us. A little bit about history about La Casa is, one, we've been around since 1974. So in 2024, we're going to have our 50th anniversary, which we're getting excited about launching a committee for that. But in the 70s and 60s nationally, there was a really big movement of Latino students and cultural centers rising, being created, being founded. We were the second cultural center in the state of Illinois. And again, we exist, and everything we have is because of student activism, because of alumni, because of community members, and because of Black and Brown faculty that also supported our students. The picture under 1974 is a visual of the original space. The original space was painted from top to bottom with murals. The students at this time they wanted to make sure the institution did not erase them. And so they covered all these murals were on the walls. The picture next to that, you can see is facilities and services restoring these murals to preserve them, because the original space La Casa was at on Chalmers Street was demolished, and now there's like high rises in that area. You can actually find some pieces of our mural at the Union, and Spurlock has 3 really big pieces. The rest are in storage in hopes that when we have a new building, we can showcase them because they're way too large for the space we're currently in. The next year we like to talk about is 1992, because a really big protest happened in 1992. And this was when students took held the university accountable, created some demands, and really were asking the university, all right, what are you doing for our Latino students? How are you supporting them? What came out of this protest was the institution acknowledging Latina and Latino Studies department as a degree. Although it existed, it wasn't necessarily acknowledged as a degree that students were achieving. So we are also, Latina and Latino Studies is also a seed of a lot of this movement as well, as we think about an academic unit that really supports us. The other thing that came out of this protest is an established position for the director. Previously, La Casa was really ran off of volunteers, grad assistants. The programming that was done was actually students fundraising using their own coins and dollars to fundraise and then use that money to put on programs. So the third biggest thing that came out of this protest was some funding for the center, so the center could stay consistent with some of the programming. And then 2001 was a year where students, a lot of students learned about the demands. A lot of students felt like there wasn't a lot that had changed on campus. So they demanded the provost office to create and establish a committee. They organized really well. They also told the provost office who they wanted specifically on that committee, and they wanted to reevaluate the demands of 1992 to see where University of Illinois was at with that. 2003 is when this report came out. It's a pretty interesting report. This is something that it serves of interest to you, I'm more than happy to email it to you. This report then talked about the neglect of our Latino students on our campus, and also it included faculty and staff as well that was produced out of this committee. So to me, this is really important because again, everything we have at La Casa has really stemmed from activism from students. It hasn't really been from University of Illinois saying, okay, cool, y'all need this, we're going to fulfill. And I think that's really important to highlight. A little bit about our mission, if you just want to remember it in 4 pillars, is we really focus not just creating a dynamic and comfortable atmosphere for our students that they can come in and talk to us, but also we focus on 4 pillars. So programming around social political programming, cultural programming, social programming, and then a lot of professional development, all for the recruitment and retention and really empowerment of our Latino students. I think one thing our mission falls short in addressing is that not only do we help out our undergraduate students, but we'll have faculty and staff, whether they're new on campus, and we also help a bit with that transition. Sometimes we've had faculty and staff run into issues when it comes to hiring, if they're documented and being coded as an international faculty and staff, and navigating and helping their employer with that. The surrounding community is not mentioned in our mission. You'll learn a little bit today of some of the work we do. And then our alumni. We do a lot with our alumni from Chicagoland. Our alumni are interconnected. Just this morning, I had an alumni asking when our Latino Family Visit Day registration was opening. We actually keep our newsletter alive, not just for faculty and staff, but actually for our alumni, because they will sign up to receive our newsletter to just stay in the know. So a lot of what you're going to learn today cannot happen without the core of my team. We are structured with 2 assistant directors and an office support. The other thing that all of us do is we constantly get students walking in a crisis, or we get students with need, or we get students who really unfortunately were profiled or stereotyped or something from a faculty member, from a staff member, or experience something, and really helping them navigate through that, whether it's helping them report that or helping them communicate with who they need to. And so we have an open door policy at La Casa. So anytime our door is open, we remind students, like, just come in, chat with us, tell us what's going on. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Brown. I don't think she's on the call, but for example, a student needed some materials for lab, and she helped us getting that student connected with those resources. So it really varies what students come in for. And then we have our student core. We hire anywhere from 10 to 13 undergraduate students. These are student coordinators. They all get assigned a program or an area, and then they're leading that alongside with an assistant director that oversees a program. And then so we hire these students every spring. So if you have students that are really interested in being involved with La Casa, but on a more paid level, level. We launch this every spring. It closes spring, and we launch the selection process in the spring semester. We also have, with support of the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, or OVCDI, we have 2 undocumented and documented mentors that also are part of our student staff that host hours here at La Casa as well. And then we're going to move a little bit more into our programming. We have weekly and monthly programming. The first one, some of y'all may have known it as Meta LRN, Meta or LRN. Meta used to stand for Mentoring, Educating, Teaching, and Achieving. And it was on Monday. Historically, it was on Monday nights. And then we had LRN, which stood for Latinx Resilience Network. And that would take place on Tuesday nights. So that was just, these 2 programs have existed probably as far back as 2006, even further some. And over the years, especially this past year, as we were evaluating these Monday and Tuesday night workshops, they weren't fulfilling the demands of our current students or the needs of our current students. So you may have heard of Meta LRN. Now that's transitioning to Conexiones, which translates to connections. It was really confusing for students the Monday nights where we were alternating between Meta, LRN. They were really just there to get the material on a Monday night, to be in community, to eat. But it almost like it didn't really matter if it was a Meta or an LRN. Students were still showing up. So that's part of the rebranding. We are going with an every other Monday of structured programming versus every Monday. And these workshops happen at 6. They really vary on what the topic is. And the reason why is because we take our El Caso, which you'll learn a little bit about in a little bit. We take those student organizations, they pick a Monday, and they brainstorm with our staff what is the topic that they want to present on, and they fully help sponsor the event, meaning they help advertise it, they help us day of with setup, cleanup, they help with even creation of the flyer sometimes.
Hello.
Someone said hello, thinking of the topic or the presenter, if maybe they know of faculty and staff. So that's Conexiones. Lunch on Us is every Thursday. We've already started. Last week was the first Lunch on Us, and we will go all the way until the week before Thanksgiving. We've noticed that after Thanksgiving, attendance really declines, and so we've stopped it up until the week before Thanksgiving. We have structured Lunch on Us differently this year as well. Based off of the data from last year, our largest attending Lunch on Us where we did not have a presenter, and it was just a come eat, be in community, play games, meet other people, come to the space. We found 2 things. We found that a lot of students were coming into the space for the first time on these unstructured presenter Lunch on Us, and we found that there was more students coming. And so this semester we're going into one Thursday is a structured presenter, the next is just come be in community. But again, every Thursday, 12 to 1. And then we have Cultural Theme Night. This is a program that was established by one of our assistant directors, Julio, last year. And this is really for us to help educate more about different cultures. We have gotten feedback as a center that sometimes we are a little bit very Mexico centric. And so our goal with this series is to really highlight some of the other countries within Latin America, maybe some of the countries that don't even necessarily come to mind, but that are part of Latin America, like Haiti would be an example of one, and really highlight that. And we're going to focus with this program on the fine arts and what that looks like. So that's weekly and monthly. And then we are known for big signature programs that have historically been here for a really long time. One of them is Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, as you can see in this picture in the top left or right corner, whatever it shows on your screen. And then that is a day where we just take to educate the campus community that it's not a Mexican holiday, and really to debunk the myth that only Mexico celebrates. There's over 8 different countries in Latin America that celebrate Day of the Dead. It's just celebrated very differently. So we'll launch that, and I'll share some of these dates that we do have already for these programming. We kick off the semester with Paleta Social. Thank you for those of y'all that came to help. We really cannot do it without our volunteers. And this is just a big welcome back event of, hey, you're back on campus. come get a fruity popsicle, learn about La Casa. The main focus, though, is getting students connected to a club. So this is where our registered student organizations that are affiliated with La Casa get to table. So if you're wondering, why was it some orgs and not others, it's really those that want to be affiliated with La Casa. They're able to showcase their org at Paleta Social. And organizations do not have to identify as Latinx or Latino to be part of our council either. We also have Back in Casa. That is our spring welcome back event. It's typically not as big as Paleta Social, but we'll get anywhere from about 300 to 400 students. And it happens usually the first or second week in January when students get back. This welcome back event, we focus on the resources. So this is the one where we focus on, okay, let's have them learn about OMSA that's embedded at La Casa. Let's have them learn about the counselors. Let's have them really focus on these embedded services. And that's the focus of that welcome back event. And then we have Las Posadas, which is a really big, it's really more focused for the community. It's a big toy drive, but also education around this event and what that is for our community. This past year, we donated over 250 toys to the local community, and we partner with the Latino Student Association, which is housed out of housing. And then one of my really favorite ones is Black and Latinx Summit, which has historically been around for over like 8 years plus. And this collaboration is with BNAC, with the Bruce D. Nesbitt African American Cultural Center. This program and every little detail of this program is ran by students, for students, two students on La Casa, or one student on La Casa and one student at BNAC's side, who are paid student positions, are the main ones leading this program. And then they have, we each have two coordinators, again, also paid positions leading this program. And then they oversee committees. And committees is where then, if you have students that are wanting to get more involved, maybe with La Casa, maybe with BNAC, maybe they have intersectionalities within the two centers, a lot of students will then help on the committee level. And it is, y'all, it is broken down from like logistics to marketing. And these students are making all of the decisions for this conference, from the poster that you see of who the artist is to who the keynote is. It is a phenomenal leadership, when we think about a leadership experience, but that's embedded in intersectionality. This is the type of program they're going to get out of that. And then that happens every spring semester in February. And then the middle picture is Latinx Congratulatory. This past May was 43 years that we held our congratulatory ceremony. It's bilingual. This is the only event students will pay for to attend, because every single dime they pay goes into the graduation gift, making sure the ceremony happens, all the logistics behind that. They get a stole and they get to pick two flags that represent them for their stole as well. It's, like I said, it's bilingual. We do have limited seats to 300 grads. And one of the special things about this ceremony that I think is unique, at least that I haven't seen at any other school, is our master's and PhD students sit on stage, but they also get to walk across the stage with their family member. And that could be right there. Maybe they have a little one. Maybe it's their partner, whoever it is that helped them achieve that goal of graduation. They also get to share that experience of walking across the stage. Again, a lot of OMSA advisors helped with this past May. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because it really does take a huge team to put this event on. And it is acknowledged through the university in the commencement office. And then we serve our families. So historically, we have, right, Mom's Weekend, Dad's Weekend. Our students haven't really ever felt part of those weekends, and or they don't really talk to our culture or what we like as Latinos. And so in parallel to Dad's Weekend, we have Latino Family Visit Day, which this November will be 18 years that we've hosted this event. We actually bus families from Chicago. This is a little detail that I realize a lot of people don't know. We bus families from Chicago, so we pay for their parking at UIC, and then they leave their cars at the parking garage at UIC, and then they commute over with alumni from our alumni association on the buses to campus. And then we have a ton of other families that then will just drive in. This program is not just the college student and the parent. It's actually also programming for the college student and their family member. And then if teenagers come, if they have brothers, sisters that are teenagers, or even cousins, we see a lot of cousins sometimes. We have programming for the teenagers, and then we also have programs for the little ones. So if they're bringing their whole family, the little ones are not bored sitting in presentations. We actually have full programming. And then this programming really focuses on workshops with the college students. And then the little ones and the teenagers are programming. They'll come back for lunch. And then the afternoon, we have utilized this past year on using the afternoon to give them tours of either La Casa, campus. But one of the added pieces that we added is actually getting them into the community as well. And so we took them to Curtis Orchard, the families, and they really, really liked that a lot, which we were hesitant at first. But again, this is put on by a committee and also student staff that help with the design of what Latino Family Visit Day looks like. And then on Mom's Weekend in the spring, we have a brunch, Dia de las Madres, so Mother's Day brunch that we host. That one has less structured programming. We don't bus the families to this event, but it's just like a nice brunch that we co-host with Latino Student Association. This always typically sometimes falls on the same day as OMSA's, what is it? Help me out. OMSA's family like day,
Mom's Day,
right? Say that again, the Mother's Day.
and the mom said that
Yep,
scholarship.
yep. Where it's like yeah, y'all have student speakers. Yep, it normally falls. So y'all's events get done, and then we start our Mother's Day brunch because we'll have a lot of students that are here for the OMSA event, and then also here for the Mother's Day brunch. So we started as soon as OMSA is done. So these are some of the family events that we have going on at La Casa. Again, free for students. Our Latino Family Visit Day, the registration opens up September 24th. Due to budget, we are limited on spots as well for this programming, but this is also another programming we recruit volunteers for. So if this interests you, this is absolutely an area we could use help in. And then we, along with other offices on campus, serve as support for our undocumented, documented students. Some universities have a center or a unit or even just a space. We at the University of Illinois have a very collaborative model. It has worked for us. We have presented on this at conferences. And part of that, though, is key individuals in these areas. We meet weekly, we talk weekly, we talk with the mentors and our graduate assistant weekly to even just learn about what is going on. What are our undocumented and documented students facing? So in this chart, you can see the Office of the Vice Chancellor for the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. So Dr. Gio Guerrera Perez is the Executive Associate Vice Chancellor for Diversity that has led this initiative, even historically when she was a director here at La Casa. And she is actually our House Bill 3438 representative. What that means is that the state of Illinois passed a House bill that said every state institution has to have a representative to help undocumented and documented students on their campus. And so she holds this title. Ross Wantlin, it also helps out. He supervises our graduate, undocumented, documented graduate assistant. And then also, again, our undocumented, documented mentors receive support through that office as well as us. And then as of fall of 2019, we actually have an immigration law clinic part of our law program on campus. And they have a whole unit of lawyers that don't just help our current students, but actually faculty and staff in the community for free. We work closely with them because sometimes it's students maybe have an immigration lawyer in Chicago or wherever home is, but the information that their family is telling them, they want to fact check it, or maybe they don't have a lawyer and students can use this service for free. We also work closely with them back when new DACA applications can be accepted. And I worked closely with our alumni association to get money for DACA renewals. And then they took the money, the Immigration Law Clinic, and they helped with those applications and getting it out and helping the student. Just for context, a DACA renewal application can range anywhere to $495. So it is a pretty large, costly expense for students. And then with student affairs, not just La Casa supports undocumented, documented students, but also Asian American Cultural Center and BNAC. As of 2 years, we have also embedded these mentors in these two other spaces. And then not on here, but student affairs related is the Illinois Student Government Illinois Student Government. They passed from the support of current undergrad students, they passed a resolution to support undocumented and documented students through a scholarship called the Hope Scholarship. And so that's another support. And then last but not least, when we think about community support, but also campus support, we do have a New American Welcome Center out of the University YMCA. And this center, as you can see, have 4 different areas within their scope that not just help our current students, but the local community. I like to point that out because I think sometimes we forget that the University YMCA is on campus and that they have these resources for students as well. Not related to the support, but if students wanted to get more involved, then we have an organization that you may have known as ICAUSE. ICAUSE is a student organization. They're not necessarily we've gotten the perception that if a student has a specific experience in that RSO, they may feel like they can't come to La Casa because they fall under us. They don't. They're a registered student organization like another club, but this is an area that students can become involved in. This is an area of activism that speaks to them. And then these are just pillars for our support. So our campus support and our funding options for undocumented and documented students. A lot of these initiatives have really stemmed from staff at La Casa, ICAUSE, and students going as far as going to Springfield to really demand a lot of this access when it comes to scholarships, access to the RISE Act. And we have a undocumented, documented ally training coming up next Friday if you're interested in learning more about this population of students. So first year students, these are some of the initiatives we have. Conectate, which translates to connecting. And again, thank you, OMSA, Hero and Ryan for presenting to our students about some of the services OMSA has. This is an early arrival program that is free for our incoming Latinx students. 2 years ago, we added a transfer track as well because we were finding that we were getting an increase of transfer students wanting to participate in a similar program. The goal of Conectate is we connect them the week before classes start, we pay for their early arrival fees, and we connect them to mentors, we put them in groups, we connect them to people that look like them, we connect them to resources, and we have a family session as well as part of this program to ease the family's mind on letting them go off to college. And again, this happens before the first week of classes. And this is also an opportunity if you have students that want to volunteer with La Casa. We recruit anywhere from 25 to 30 volunteers who help us lead as mentors and help us on the back end with logistics. And then we have ACE, which is a mentorship program. ACE stands for Advising, Connecting, and Empowering. ACE was actually a program that was started in 2019 because we had a Conectate student participate in the program. And they said, this is great. This program is amazing. But now what? Like we were kind of left in this, okay, it was fun, hurrah, but we don't have anything to transition into slowly. And so the student pitched a proposal about a mentorship program that ACE participants that Conectate students that could participate in. And that's where ACE stemmed from. We've added a faculty piece this year to make sure that our students are also connected to a Latino faculty member on campus. And then the other program we're launching this fall is our inaugural ambassador program. We received an endowment of an individual that is very passionate about mentorship and increasing access of Latino students. And so we're using this ambassador program to, one, get the word out more about La Casa, to be able to have these ambassadors help us with the amount of requests that we get for visits, and to really have them be in spaces. We get asked a lot, can you send a student to represent the Latino community in these committees? And it's just a lot to put on our student coordinators. But we also get a lot of students that want to be involved with La Casa. Unfortunately, we have a limit of how many we can hire, but maybe they want to be involved with La Casa on a volunteer term. Students sometimes think we're an RSO, or that we are this exclusive thing they need to be a part of. But the ambassador program is just another way for students to feel connected to La Casa if they want in a leadership capacity. And one thing I do want to point out about Conectate is that Jasmine and I last year, Jasmine from BNAC, launched through the support of a grant through OBCDI, we launched a program called C Squared. And C Squared is an overlap of Conectate and Circuit, where we focus on community empowerment and solidarity. The students learn the shared demands of both centers. They learn how both communities came together to support during protests, during activism stages, how the power in numbers, the power in supporting the communities. And then the other thing we do is we send them on a MTD bus scavenger hunt to different BIPOC businesses in the area, so they can also see whether it's where the African market's at, where La Mixteca Mexican restaurants at, where a Black-owned plant shop is at, et cetera, while also learning to navigate public transportation. That's probably one of their favorite things that the students have from that program. And then when it comes to student leadership, I talked already about ACE, but our mentors gain a lot of leadership skills through that as they mentor their mentee. Again, the ambassador program. And then the council I kept referring to, El Caso, which stands for La Casa Alliance of Student Organizations. This is a council that meets monthly, once a month, and it's different representatives from our registered student organizations come to this meeting, and they learn about what's going on at La Casa. They learn about maybe volunteer opportunities coming up, but it's also their opportunity to shout out and talk about what they're doing and maybe any collaborative space that they can have with one another. This is also the space that if you're trying to get a program out or information out, the last 10 minutes are reserved of this program. This is a very easy way to just get a hold of 25 organizations, their leaders, and get the word out. Stephanie, our assistant director, facilitates this. El Caso is also the council of RSOs that help us, whether it's with the toy drive or different elements of our programming as well. And if you come visit us at La Casa, or if you have in the living room, all the tiles on the ceiling represent our El Caso organizations, both Greek and non-Greek. All right, so we talked a lot about on-campus stuff, and we talked a little bit earlier about Chicagoland, but we do, like I said, one of the pieces in our mission that's missing is the local campus community, the local community in Chicagoland, and our impact on that. So currently we have a pen pal program where we have 84 students from Dr. Williams Elementary School, anywhere from 3rd to 5th grade, and then we have to then now recruit 84 college students. And what they do is they write back and forth in the fall semester, their pen pal, they write back and forth, and then they'll get to meet their pen pal in the spring. Last year, because the restrictions of the schools, the college student and the kids wrote back and forth, but they didn't get to meet each other. So this year we're excited that they'll actually get to meet each other in that. We celebrate Latinx Heritage Month. You might have seen on Teams, if you have an event or a workshop in relation to Latinx Heritage Month, we really coordinate the logistics of putting all those events together. We do not program every day of Latinx Heritage Month, which is September 15th through October 16th, but the big program that we will host in that month is Day of the Dead. Like I said, we do K through 12 school visits, a lot from Chicagoland, a lot on the weekends. We find that when groups want to come to campus, and if their budget or their funding or their structure only allows them to come on the weekends, unfortunately, admissions is not able to accommodate. So typically it's us or BNAC accommodating some of these visits. In a regular year, pre-COVID, we had anywhere from 200 plus visits that we had accommodated all year round. Summer tends to be a really popular time for visits as well. And then we partner with athletics for some kind of game, whether it's soccer or volleyball, and we invite the local community to that. And we have a really strong relationship with our Latina and Latino Alumni Association. we host an ex officiate member position on that board, and they are really a big support to a lot of what we do, to fundraisers or just getting us connected to an alumni or getting a student connected to an alumni, or if a student is struggling to find a job, we'll connect them with the board and they will do a call out, and they always get connected. It amazes me, the connections they have. They are their own nonprofit, so they're not associated with advancement or the foundation. They are their own alumni association that they've established on their own. They also give out scholarships every spring. Keep a lookout for those, because one of the things that students love about that scholarship is that it's a written check. So it's not necessarily something that's being applied to their financial aid package. Let's see. Yep, we talked about all that. Cool. And then we like to meet students where they're at. So these are the different embedded resources we have. And so we have McKinley. McKinley will host hours here and give out the different packs that they have at McKinley. We have 2 times a month, or twice a month, we have library research consultants at La Casa. These are individuals that are here to help students find their research article, or if a student's struggling to find a peer reviewed, they help the student navigate the library portal. They've gotten to the extent of actually walking the student to the library if it was a printed text that they needed and they didn't know how to navigate the library system. And so they're here only 2 times a month, and we're hoping that that launches next month, in October. And then La Casa, we do have a scholarship out of La Casa. We launch the scholarship every spring. It usually closes by like end of April, and then the students are awarded. The goal is always May, June, but for example, we had a delay this year, and so the students are being awarded this month, and it just varies. We get asked the question, well, how much is a scholarship? It honestly just depends on how much funds we have in the scholarship. It can range from 500 to 1,000 to 2,000. This year, we're awarding 4 students into the scholarship. And then the counseling center, we have the Latinx outreach team host hours here as well. We have an embedded confidential advisor that's embedded here through the Women's Resources Center. Some of you may or may not know, but we are actually the only institution nationally that has this form of position embedded in a cultural center. Sometimes you find these positions may be embedded in an academic college, or maybe in a Title IX office, or in a Dean of Students office. But this position being embedded in a cultural center, we're the only ones that have this model nationally. I think this is really powerful, because we tend to get the students who have these hypothetical stories of, well, hypothetically, and the fact that we have someone in the comfort of their space. They don't have to give the hypotheticals, they can just spill what's going on, and they can actually break down what their options are, versus myself and us that we have to report. I think is powerful, that fact that the student can learn and really make their own decision of what they want. And then OMSA, y'all are embedded here. As of last year, we started this model. I think it's awesome, and hopefully it continues. But we also have Hero here as an advisor every Thursday, in case students need to talk to someone from OMSA. And then just want to do a quick call out, because we really do need pen pals. If you have students that maybe they want community service hours, I know Julio in the past was doing 1 hour per letter. Julio is our assistant director that leads this program, but we weren't expecting 84 students. And so this is the largest kids from this elementary school that we have. So please pass this along if you can. This is a summary of our fall programs, specifically of when Conexiones happen, cultural theme night dates. We are going to have a big Champaign County La Casa Cultural Day on September 26th. We learned that September 26th was the day that Champaign County acknowledged us as a space. So we are going to do a lot of programming around that, and a big event around that. But then also we will be launching a fundraising campaign on that date as well. So if you donate more than $25 on that date and moving forward, you can get this cute little pin. So cool. And then Latino Family Visit Day, November 6th. We will open registration September 24th of this month. And stay connected with us. Instagram, honestly, y'all, that's the best way that we stay connected with students. It's the only way to engage with students. Again, we have found that Instagram is how we're connecting with students over the newsletter. Linktree, I like to promote Linktree as well, only because if you're working with a student and you're like, wait, she said this, and that, that's a lot of links, that's a lot of information. You go to our Linktree, it has everything from signing up to be a pen pal, signing up to be a mentor, mentee with ACE. Actually, it has a link to the 1992 protest demands if students want to read that a little bit more. It has a link to volunteer with us. It has the link for the newsletter. We keep it active based off of what is going on. So for example, once Latino Family Visit Day registration opens, that will be the first link on top. So whatever it is that's going on, those buttons you see now, they just stay with what's open, with what we're pushing, with whatever event it is that's going on. And that is it. That is us in a really quick nutshell of 45 minutes. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see y'all's lovely faces.
Well, wow, wow, wow. Wow, that was such needed and informative and valuable information that we needed to learn more about La Casa. So thank you so very much. It's a lot to take in. I mean, which
Yeah.
just speaks to the volume of like the opportunities and resources that you guys are offering your students and the community and, Chicagoland area. I mean, that was so great. Thank you so much. I personally loved hearing about the family events that you put on because, I didn't know that, just Dad's Day and Mom's Day just weren't as, significant, right? So like, that's amazing. And the individual programming you do for the different ages of families that come, it's amazing. So thank you so, so much for presenting that to us. And now I'm going to open it up for staff members to ask any questions or clarify anything or, just speak on anything that they have regarding the presentation today.
Quick question, Mariana. How many paletas did you guys wind up giving out? That crowd was amazing.
So we ordered 1,200, and out of that 1,200, the following day we found students snuck 5 in the fridge for later. They somehow were able, so whatever 1,200 minus 5 was. We did also learn that a lot of students didn't swipe in because we definitely had over 1,000 students there, but based off of our card swipe, it came back with like 883. Yeah.
Okay.
So over 1,200, 1,195.
Say that, knew what La Casa, or I know what La Casa does, and I am completely humbled to hear all the different opportunities that you connect with students and the community and the activities that you guys put forth. The programs, it's just amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Mariana, as an alum who was here, was a student in the 90s, so I was a freshman when the protest took place in 92. So I wasn't there. I was sneaking food in to people that were there. But it's really heartwarming for me to see the programs that I remember when they started still being here on campus and see the expansion of the services that are provided. My question is, what type of assistance do you need from staff in regards to helping out and volunteering with Latino Day and some of the other programs?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. And thanks for being a student that was there for support for our community. That really means a lot, especially because there's a lot of people that came before me that did a lot of work to get us to where we're at. But I think with that question, I think of 2 things. I think of one, just when we do a call out for volunteers, right? Like show up, but y'all do that already. But I think the biggest thing is when you're talking to students, we get a lot of a mixture of Latino students that maybe they're 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation. Maybe they're students that they don't speak Spanish. Maybe they're students that they don't feel like they look like Latino enough, whatever that means. And so there's even just hesitation of coming into the space to use it or just to come and connect. So I think the biggest ask, besides even just I would say it's bigger than asking for y'all to volunteer, would be when you come across those students and you're talking to students, connect them with one of us through email, because then we can connect with them at a coffee shop. If it's like, okay, let's establish this relationship at Espresso, and then we can slowly walk the student in, because we really want to debunk that it's not, you don't have to look a certain way to be, right, to be part of the community, to be part of the space. You don't, yes, do we serve a lot of first gen students? Yes, but then we have the other mix of students that are not first gen, who still want to be connected, but don't feel like maybe, again, they're enough to utilize the space, or whether it's they don't know the language. That's been a really big one. So just connecting. Jasmine, I, not to like call you out, but like Jasmine does that a lot. And it's, those students have connected so much to La Casa. And I appreciate that, because it's like, oh, okay, this is my OMSA like staff member, person that I like have this relationship that I trust. And then they're actually telling me like, this person is cool to connect with, and that they also have my back. And that's been so powerful. That's been so, so powerful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I would also add, even the intersectionalities. We had a student say, well, you know, I was torn between like doing circuit or conectate. And they're like, but then I learned that there was C squared and there's going to be overlap. So I just went with the registration that was still open, that still had room. But even that, empowering the students, like, you don't have to pick. If you have intersectionalities of all these identities, you don't, like I said, just doesn't have to be your only place or BNAC. You can bounce between all of them or between the two. And sometimes student, and I don't know if part of that's this like loyalty piece, but it's this like, you can do both, like balance between the two. Mhm.
And that's important, because I felt like I regularly, when I was a student, went back and forth across the street. So it was like I'd leave BNAC and go to La Casa. I'd be there for a couple hours, and then the next day it'd be vice versa. So yeah, helping students to know that they don't have to pick is
Mhm.
important. So glad we can help with that.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything on their mind?
I just would like to say something that I know when you read to us about the vision and mission of La Casa, and definitely almost everything that we heard today that you do for students there is like probably one of the major factors of student retention and graduation, additionally, particularly when it comes to Latino students. Yeah, I know for a fact that when they find La Casa and they connect with each other and form their own network because of the program with La Casa, it helps them tremendously to decide to stay here, to stick it out, get the work done and get a degree, and move on with whatever that they do after graduation. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Beto. I will also share with Courtney the training flyer for our undocumented, documented ally training that's coming up. I think that's another area sometimes I've found that faculty and staff can be intimidated about asking questions around it, because it's complex, right? I myself am not a lawyer, and there's parts of it I still am confused about. And so I'll also share that as well, in case you've never attended a training. And the pen pal, yep. Pen pal in the fall flyers. Come visit us, right? Like I talked
Yeah,
about a
I'm
lot of
gonna
the
come for lunch.
programs.
What you
Yeah,
mean?
every Thursday, get here early, because our lunch on us has just been bananas. Like last week we had 193 students come. So just get here early so you can get food.
No worries. No, I'm pregnant, so I will definitely be able to do that. Like, oh my
Yes,
goodness.
get here.
I'll walk the fastest I've ever walked. I got you. Any other thoughts, you guys? Well, of course, as always, too, if anything does come up, I'm sure Mariana's inbox is ready for any questions or any thing that comes up in the future. So please feel free to reach out so we can keep the relationship going. And Mariana, again, thank you so, so very much. Again, this is recorded so that we can be able to send it to those who weren't here, just to look back at it again. She sent the presentation. I forwarded that to you guys. You are more than welcome to send me anything else in the future, or of course, you know, you can send it to Kim and then she can send it out to everybody. So we are just very thankful for your time today. And if there's nothing else, I'm gonna at least stop the recording for a minute